What's up guys, I'm Stavis, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be having another look at the Indonesian fingerstyle guitarist Alipbata, and due to popular demand, the arrangement of his we're going to be looking at is Numb by Linkin Park. Now given that I've made a full transcription of this song, this is not my first time seeing it, I'm not that good. So what this is going to be, it's more of a technical breakdown. We're going to have the song play, we're going to have the tab synced on the bottom of the screen, and I'm going to break down the different techniques that he's using so you can try them at home for yourself. I think this arrangement is a little bit more accessible than the previous arrangement, and if you haven't seen what that one was, I'll link to it right here. This one's in standard tuning, there's no capo, and uses standard chord shapes, so it's a lot more accessible. It's still going to be a bit technical to attempt, but I think a lot more accessible. Right, so let's get into it. Alright, so the first couple of bars you can see something that it's a motif throughout. It's the main hook of the song, which are those harmonics at the start. So what are harmonics? Let's check that out. A harmonic is an overtone in the harmonic series. And what that is when you play a note, so say we're going to use our open E string, you're not just hearing E, you're hearing a collection of notes that include overtones. And the way the string vibrates, they happen in places called nodes. And when we play our string and lightly touch off it at the 12th fret, that's an octave above the fundamental. So we've got our E, and then an octave above E. So you only ever lightly touch the string. You can even release an old still ring. But if I continue to gently press the string, so I'm not pressing it down on the frets, I'm just touching off it lightly, and continue to play while sliding up the neck, so you can hear all the different notes that are occurring within there, and they're all happening when we play our open E, and it happens when we play any string. Now the harmonics are easier to get to ring out on thicker strings because there's just more mass behind them and it's a lot easier to make them happen. So what Alip has done in this arrangement is he's moved the key of the song from F sharp minor to E minor, so he's moved it down a tone, and that allows him to use the open string and the natural harmonics to play the opening melody hook from the song. So the notes we have are B, D, B, E, G, F sharp, and then back to D. And we have those notes as open harmonics, as natural harmonics. Is our B, 7th fret of the G is our D. Then back to the 12th fret of the B. Now, it's easier to use your baby finger for the B notes and your index finger for the D note. Then he has an E, and the G, F sharp, and what you'll see from the diagram on the screen is that the wave does this, and it's a mirror image. So the 12th fret divides the string exactly in half, and the harmonic that's on the 7th fret here, so we're on the B string, the 7th fret harmonic, which is our F sharp, is the exact same pitch as its mirror, which is the 19th fret. And Alip is using that to be able to play down here while still getting his harmonic there. And how he does it with his right hand, so ordinarily you will use your pick or your finger and your left hand to gently touch the spot you need, which is directly above the fret wire. He's taking those two hands and he's doing that job with one hand. So he's picking with his thumb and he's lightly touching with his index finger. If you can see that there, just ever so slightly touching and using his thumb behind it to pick. And he can repeat that because he knows where his octaves are. So that's a G, which is 2 octaves above the fundamental. So you've got a root, octave, 2nd octave. And that is also where the 24th fret would be. And if you're using a Les Paul like this, most guitars will have the pole pieces of their pickups under the 24th fret for that very reason, because it picks up those overtones, which is the exact same as. So the 5th fret and where the 24th fret would be, those harmonics are the exact same pitch, and the 7th fret and the 19th fret are the exact same pitch. And Alip is using that to play his harmonics and play his melodies as he goes. He also does this. So he's playing a brush stroke across 3 strings, but he'll do that with one hand. And what that is the exact same method. You pick with your thumb while gently touching the string with your index finger. But it's not individual picking of each string. It's one fluid motion like that, and your thumb is ever so slightly ahead of your index finger. And he does it at the 24th fret as well, which can be tricky to pick. So in theory, the technique is quite easy, but it's quite difficult to get accurate. So it takes a lot of practice, and to be able to just accurately execute it in the middle of a piece of music takes a lot of practice. So I'd recommend a lot of practice. It's not going to be exciting, it's going to be boring. But this harp harmonic, where you're doing it with one hand, opens up the doors to a whole different style of playing that's made popular, particularly by Tommy Emmanuel. He's a master at doing it. And you get this really beautiful cascading kind of sound of harmonics with chords, and it's the first step is knowing how to execute your harmonics with one hand. So you can see there he's used the same technique, he's just used his right hand to execute it. So there you can see again another one of the techniques that he uses quite a bit. It's using a harmonic and then he's bent behind the nut. So essentially he's stretched the string behind the nut, pulling the pitch up and then releasing it to bring the pitch down. And this is how that's done. He's doing the same thing, making the harmonic with one finger and picking with his thumb. And then he's grabbing the string behind the nut and bending it up. And then releasing. And that can be done on any string. Jimmy Page is known for that. So pick the note, bend behind the nut, up to pitch, and then release. So the chords he's using are all very standard chords. We've got G major, we've got C major, we've got D, we've got E minor. So the key is G major and all those chords are diatonic. And diatonic just means they belong in the key. So they all belong in the key of G major. In bar 26 on the bottom of the screen, he's got a descending little pattern that's kind of used in blues, it's used in rock as well, and they're known as sixth intervals. So the lower note is 6 notes away from the higher note. So that little lick is as follows. In bar 26 he plays a bluesy lick that I said is in sixth, and what the sixths are is you play your scale. So if you take an E major, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 9th fret of the G string, 9th fret of the high E string. That's a major sixth interval. If we take the sixth and move it down a semitone, so we flatten the sixth by a semitone, we get a minor sixth. So major sixth, minor sixth. And he's using a minor sixth, major sixth, and a major sixth. So they're quite easy to move around. And what he does is, so 9 on the G, 8 on the high E, 7 on the G, 7 on the high E, 5 on the G, 5 on the high E. So here you will hear it again. So you'll see on the transcription a lot of tap body with an asterisk denoting where those are. And what that is, it's just him tapping the body to get a percussive sound to keep his rhythm going. And what he's doing is using the nail on his baby fingers to tap against the body of his acoustic, and that gives a sharp ticking percussive sound. So if he used the fleshy part of his finger, it'd be more of a softer thumping sound. And he's got those on the same beats that the snare drum is on in the original recording. And if you split the first beat into 4, so you get 1 E and A, it's on the A, so 1 E and A, and then it's on the 4. So instead of the 2 and the 4 like it was in Sweet Child of Mine, it's on the 1 E and A and the 4. I've also got on the transcription X's on particular strings, and what that is you can watch him do it. He'll make a rotary motion or slide his thumb from side to side and hit the string against the fret, and that gives again a ticking high percussive sound. At other parts of the songs, which is coming up soon, he's going to actually use his hands to fully slap on the body like it would be a bongo or some sort of conga. There are those X's. Sliding thirds, really nice. There's that little bluesy, flourishy lick that we've seen in his arrangements of Kiss from a Rose, which I will link here, and he also used it in Sweet Child of Mine. So it's hold the note a little bit, a quick slide up and down, and then a pull off. So we go back and we hear that again. Very bluesy. So here what he's gone for is a B7 chord. Now the key of the song is G major, but the key of the song is also E minor, which is the relative minor. And the B7 is what's called a secondary dominant. So I don't want to get too heavy with music theory, but essentially a 7th chord, a dominant chord, wants to resolve to a 1 chord. So in the case of G major, the D7, the 5th chord of the key, wants to resolve to the G. So if you play a D7 chord and then play a G chord, it's called a perfect cadence. It feels like you've resolved the song. So he's using a secondary dominant, which is a B7. So it means it's borrowed from another key. So it's a B7, a dominant chord borrowed from another key, and that wants to resolve to the E minor. And what he's done here is he's used it to make a delayed resolution. So he plays the B7, and then he gets into a F sharp diminished lick, which we're going to have a look at, and then eventually comes to the E minor resolution, which makes the song have a really strong resolution. So there's that diminished arpeggio. It's all stacked minor thirds, and we're going to have a look at that on the tangent cam. In bars 63 and 64, Alip does a F sharp diminished arpeggio. So it's a diminished 7th arpeggio. So it's in F sharp. So we've got F sharp, we've got our flat 3, which is our A, we've got our flat 5, which is a C, and then we've got our diminished 7, which is an E flat. And that pattern moves up the neck by going root, up 3 frets. Then to play the next string, you go down a string and up a fret. Down a string, up a fret. Down a string and up a fret. So he's playing an arpeggio there. It's a diminished triad. And then he moves up 3 semitones again and comes down the same finger. So you can come down that exactly the same. So it's a symmetrical scale, but he comes down it, instead of going linearly, he goes. Now, the fingering of that is a little bit tricky. But again, like everything else, it just takes practice and time. So sit down with it and go slow. Now I know I'm using a pick and Alip is using his fingers, so it's whatever works for you, but if you are tackling this arrangement, it's probably going to be difficult for you to just pick up a plectrum for that part of the song. You probably have to do it with your fingers, which is what he does with his thumb and his index. And again, that just takes a bit of coordination and practice. And then to the E, really strong resolution. That 6th lick. I really enjoy the fact that you can hear the ambient sounds once he's finished playing, so you can hear the wind outside and children playing. It kind of adds to the rustic appeal and the kind of rustic aesthetic that it has. You know, he's sitting down somewhere with his coffee and his cigarette and he's just jamming away to himself. And I really like that. It's not polished, it's not overly produced or anything. It's just a guy playing a guitar, and that really appeals to me. I like that, and it obviously appeals to quite a number of people as well because his channel is huge and his songs are very popular. So I've made the full transcription available for free download in PDF form, and that will be in the description box down below. So fire ahead and download that, share it, send it around, and best of luck learning it. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, hit the like button, and please, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and hit this notification bell so you never miss out on future content. Thanks again for watching. My name's STAVIS, and I'll see you on the next one.